Hey everybody, and welcome back to the spring training video series. Jared, today we're going to talk about a question that we get asked pretty commonly, and that's about using PPO herbicides and Olivo seed treatment at the same time.
That's right, Mike. It seems like those two compounds, because of some of the ways they act or some of the reputation that they may have, often gets this myth around them that there's this interaction between the two that could negatively impact our yields. And so we really want to address that question today specifically and talk about what we know and what the products are for those of you that aren't aware of it, and just maybe shed a little light on this issue.
Sure.
So why don't you start off, Mike, and tell us a little bit about what Olivo is.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to start, Jared. So Olivo is a seed treatment for your soybeans, and we've seen it gain a lot of popularity in recent years because it brings something to the table that no other seed treatment can claim, and that is a combination control of soybean cyst nematode and sudden death syndrome in soybeans. And these are two very problematic pests that there's really not a lot of solutions out there for growers. So the ability to have one product that controls both of those pests at the same time, it's really increased the popularity of Olivo. But one of the things that gets associated with Olivo is what we see, the halo effect. And if you've used Olivo, you probably are aware of this or have seen it yourself. What this is it's a reaction to light once the soybeans emerge, and we're actually pretty encouraged when we see this halo effect show up because it's an indicator to us that this product is working. It's moving through the plant, it's controlling these diseases, and what it is, it's a reaction to light. So it won't show up until those soybeans emerge, so it won't have any impact on your soybean emergence either. So no issues there, we're not concerned about it, and nothing to indicate that it will influence your stand or your yield at the end of the year.
And that's right. And typically, as you can see in this photo, this is what that ring would look like, right? It's that it's so good it's got a halo. It's kind of our tagline. And you'll note it mostly shows up on those cotyledons, which are not typically yield driving pieces to the soybean plant, right? It's just providing that early nourishment. So, with that, knowing what Olivo is, the second part of that puzzle that we often get to talk about is the PPO herbicides. And we know that PPO herbicides have been a staple herbicide in soybeans for a long time now, and they will continue to be. Even with growing PPO resistance in water hemp and other species, it's still an effective compound on some of the key weeds that we need to control, like large-seeded broadleaves. And on our no-till acres, which I have a lot of in my geography, things that are like sharpen would be a PPO product that we saw a lot on for those burn down, knockdowns of those emerged weeds. And so things like Zidua Pro and Sharpen are key elements that we need for our weed control program. And so I guess today I want to talk about, is there this interaction? Because I don't want to avoid things that we need to grow our crop and have the best weed-free fields and also to keep these other pests out. So, based on some of the research that's been done, Mike, what do we know about this potential interaction that we get to hear about?
Yeah, Jared, you mentioned it earlier that there's kind of this myth or misnomer out there that combining these two technologies, you're going to somehow antagonize or synergize, depending on the way you look at it, that the potential you get that we see very rarely, but you do see it in some cases, a response from the PPO herbicides, as well as that halo effect from your Olivo seed treatment, that those two are going to interact with each other and increase your crop response. And what we found is that that's basically not true. We've done our own internal studies, but there's also some third-party studies, for example, done by Iowa State University, where they have tested this myth and found that it doesn't impact your stand, it doesn't impact your yield at the end of the year. It's basically just a combination of those two showing up at the same time. No synergism, no relationship between the two. So if there's a situation where you see a benefit from two valuable technologies such as these, we're definitely not going to discourage anybody from utilizing those two at the same time.
Absolutely, and I guess that it's encouraging to me, and hopefully you guys have seen maybe what that halo effect looks like, because it's very emotional, right? It's not something we're normally seeing in soybean fields. So going out and seeing that doesn't necessarily always mean that there's a problem, and the research is now going to back it. And I guess even from our field experience, Mike, I've walked a lot of fields where we've had Zidua Pro and other PPO herbicides out there with Olivo. It's just not really that much of a common problem. I think we hear about it, and more questions about it than we actually see issues or even any interaction that would have been alleged. Is really debunked by these studies. And so I think we've got a couple really key products that we need to use in these fields to push our yields and drive our yields at the end of the day. And where we've got a lot of people planting early, Olivo is such a key staple to protect against SDS, as we know that that's a higher risk for those early planted soybeans. And then these PPO products are such a crucial piece of controlling weeds. And we don't want to be chasing weeds all year long. So I guess my advice to everybody, whether you're a grower or retailer out there, is to choose the products that fit on your farm. Really, we want you to have the highest yields out there, and that leads to good weed control and using the right seed treatments to do that. And so don't avoid one for the other, because at the end of the day, this myth is just debunked, in my opinion.
Absolutely, Jared. So if you see a benefit of using both of these technologies at the same time, we're definitely not going to discourage that. And in all honesty, if you got any questions about it, reach out to a local BASF rep, but we think you'll be really pleased with the results.
Hey folks, thanks for watching. The thoughts and comments expressed in these videos are the opinions of the Nozzlehead. Be sure to like and subscribe down below for new videos and content.